welcome to the first episode of Season 7. It's so great to see you all again. I'm Henry Snotson, your trusty host. We've got a slew of fascinating matches to dive into, so buckle up and let's get started. What a treat for our loyal fans. Horn Varelius, the reigning champion, faced off against Joseph Moranian, the victor of Season 5. Both coaches debuted fresh new teams. The Lumbrian Murderous Kangaroos squared off against the lightning-fast Intergalactic Kobolds. Both teams came impeccably prepared, though it must be said that the Kangaroos had an edge, and oh, did it pay off. Each side knew the key to victory was neutralizing the smallest players on the opposing team, resulting in an absolute bloodbath. The pitch turned into a graveyard for the little guys. Few made it to the end of the match. 2 kobolds even met their untimely demise, courtesy of those devastating kangaroo tails, which proved to be a nightmare for the tiny lizards. So, we had blood, we had chaos. But what about the score? A thrilling 2-2 draw, leaving both teams and their fans hungry for more. Something tells me these coaches are destined for a rematch in the playoffs. But the first day wasn't limited to just one match. Oh no. As fans began trickling out of one stadium, another was just filling up. And here, we got a game with a decisive outcome. From the very start, the dazzling magic women of Fabled Sparkles seemed to have the upper hand. The nimble and enchanted athletes quickly established control, and soon enough, cracks began to show in the Lurkers' defense. The Sparkles capitalized on every mistake, turning the tide firmly in their favor. By the end, they had secured a commanding 3-0 lead. Just when it seemed like the game was all but over, the Lurkers decided to surprise everyone. In a shocking twist, Hammer, one of their massive sea crabs, grabbed the tiny Kylie and yeeted her across the entire length of the pitch, straight into the Sparkles' end zone. The crowd erupted as the Lurkers finally got on the board, ending the game 3-1. A small consolation. But hey, a touchdown's a touchdown. Now, let's move on to the next match. BC Bone Crunch took on the devious Telesnubbies in a game filled with chaos, carnage, and mechanical mayhem. From the get-go, the Imps had a significant advantage, wielding all manner of illegal weaponry, chainsaws, bombs, and even a massive steam-powered contraption. 2 ogres needed urgent medical attention in the first half, but their plucky Nobbler teammates left to fend for themselves as their coach saved medical resources for more critical injuries. The Telesnubbies capitalized early, securing what looked like an unshakable lead. But then, drama struck. The referee, perhaps stirred from his stupor by a well-timed bribe or realization, suddenly started enforcing the rules. Out went the chainsaws, bombs, and flamethrowers, though oddly enough, he completely ignored the giant steam machine trundling across the pitch. Did the ogres falter? Of course not. In a stunning turn of events, an ogre single-handedly dismantled the mechanical monstrosity, rendering it useless. With momentum on their side and the score tied, BC Bone Cruncher executed a blitz straight from the textbook of ogre brilliance. Andy Da Sneepa smashed through the Telesnubbies' defense, securing the lead, and then, just to rub salt in the wound, did it again after the next kickoff. Final score, 2-1 for BC Bone Cruncher. A chaotic, thrilling match that showcased both the resilience and brute strength of the ogres. Stay tuned, folks, because the season is only just heating up. Ouch. This match will surely haunt the memories of the judges of Dread for seasons to come. The proud Myrmidian Spartans clashed with the bone-chilling Dobkins in a spectacle that began as a physical triumph for the human warriors. Their strength seemed insurmountable, easily tossing around the brittle skeleton goblins. But then, out of the shifting sands, 2 towering Ushapti and monstrous scorpion-like constructs emerged, turning the tide of battle. The game quickly devolved into a fierce struggle for possession, with the slippery ball slipping through the fingers of both teams. Despite the relentless back and forth, neither side could secure an advantage by halftime. But then, the Dobkins switched tactics, opting for a ruthless strategy that saw 6 of the judges removed from the pitch, either sprawled out or pinned down by the iron claws of mechanical scorpions. With the Spartans' numbers dwindling, the Dobkins seized their opportunity. The skeletal goblins, shielded by their towering constructs, managed to sneak in the game's sole touchdown. A hard-earned victory as the Myrmidian warriors could only watch, helplessly immobilized. This marks an impressive debut for the Dobkins, already outperforming their infamous predecessors, very weak but terribly expensive, who, lest we forget, failed to score a single touchdown in the inaugural season. The judges of Dread, meanwhile, face a grim challenge ahead. With a battered roster and no mercy expected from their next opponents, the Telesnubbies, they'll need every ounce of Spartan grit to survive. Gosh, these elven ladies are on fire! Literally. In a sizzling showdown, Witchy and We Know It faced off against the fiery elemental force of Weatherton Inclements. Both teams brought their A-game with a hyper-aggressive style of play, but this tactic proved devastatingly one-sided. The Witches' signature skimpy outfits, while stylish, offered zero protection against the searing blows of their fiery foes. It wasn't long before the sideline became a hospital ward, packed with scorched and fainted witches. Thankfully, most eliminations were due to temporary unconsciousness rather than serious injuries. Well, except for one. Poor Juliana Mink met a truly fiery end, leaving behind nothing but a small pile of ashes. The witch hunters in the stands couldn't have been more thrilled. With a massive numerical advantage, Elementals dominated the match, easily sealing a 2-0 victory. What's hotter than the sun and equally unforgiving? The Weatherton Inclements. Looks like Witchy and We Know It learned the hard way. If you can't stand the heat, stay off the pitch. The action didn't stop with just one game that day. Right after the fiery chaos at Weatherton Stadium cooled down, the GKS Shambani Supremes clashed with Isha's Revenge. It was a fierce battle of primal strength against elven finesse, and boy, did it deliver. The guerrillas wasted no time asserting their dominance, swiftly dealing with the ethereal spirits accompanying the elves. One unfortunate spirit met its untimely end, squashed like an irritating mosquito. Safe to say, it's unlikely we'll see it again. The elves, however, showed surprising regenerative abilities, though judging by their grimaces, this blessing only prolonged their suffering at the hands of the simians. Despite their dwindling numbers, the elven maidens mounted a valiant defense in the first half, holding the line like true lionesses, and denying the apes any chance of a touchdown. But in the second half, the Supremes leveraged their overwhelming physical superiority, battering their opponents into submission. Only after completely dominating the field were the Simians able to secure the game's sole touchdown in the last minutes. Not long after, the BC Bone Cruncher Ogres faced off against the Dobkins. But don't worry, we'll be diving into all the nobler flinging and skeletal antics in the second episode of Tell Us Not. Stay tuned. Next on our lineup was the clash between Defiance and Half of Nothing. Fans of elven aesthetics were in for a treat, as this match took place on a dazzling elven stadium that rivaled the grandeur of FC Avalorna's famed pitch. But while the scenery was serene, the game itself was anything but, as the half-elves seemed determined to embrace their more savage half. From the opening whistle, the half-elves unleashed an unexpected display of raw brutality. The border princes, caught off guard, struggled to advance, only to have their misery compounded by a vicious foul on their prone ogre. Ouch. Where was the referee? He seemed far too enamored with the intricate architecture to notice the carnage unfolding on the field. The first half, while a spectacle of aggression, ended scoreless. The second half brought a bit more ball action, though it was far from decisive. At one point, the half-elves' disorganized strategy led to an almost slapstick moment when none of them agreed on who should carry the ball. Their indecision allowed the ball to roll right into the hands, or feet in this case, of Defiance. Forced into defense, the half-elves valiantly resisted, but were ultimately undone by a daring play from Orin, who secured the first touchdown. Refusing to back down, the half-elves regrouped and launched a counterattack. One unfortunate border prince's assassin learned the hard way that grabbing a determined elf by the leg doesn't end well, as he was dragged along the pitch in a rather undignified fashion. In the end, the match concluded in a 1-1 draw. But let's be real, the real takeaway here. These tougher, scrappier half-elves are an absolute joy to watch. Who knew half could mean double the entertainment? The Iron Wolves faced a brutal awakening as their battle-hardened techniques fell flat, quite literally, against the Grim Gemstones. The Kurgani barbarians seemed ill-prepared to handle the golemic juggernauts, who marched forward like an unstoppable landslide. Supported by their elemental allies from other domains, because as we've learned, every elemental team comes with a little variety, the Stone Warriors were a wall too thick to break. The Iron Wolves struggled throughout, their usual ferocity proving useless against the glacial patience and resilience of their opponents. To add insult to injury, the barbarians tripped over themselves more often than they landed any effective hits. As the match drew to a close and victory was all but guaranteed, the Grim Gemstones gave their opponents a farewell gesture, sending two wolves not to the locker room, but straight to the infirmary. Turns out, you can't outmuscle the Earth, especially when the Earth punches back. That's all for today, folks. We'll be back soon with even more Telesnot action from the second round. Until then, stay safe, roll strong, and may Nuffle bless your blocking dice. Bye!
Stop me!